joy divine. Love like this sets our hearts on fire. Song. This is my hallelujah come. This is why it's to you I run. This is my resurrection song. This is my hallelujah come. This is why it's to you I run. There's no space that His love can't reach. There's no place where we can't find peace. There's no end to amazing grace. I am holding on to you. I am holding on to you. In the middle of the storm, I'm holding on. I am holding on to you. I am holding on to you. In the middle of the storm, I'm holding on. I am. In the middle of the storm, I'm holding on. I am.
Cool thing about that song for me is hearing it a little differently. I thought the first time I heard it, I thought maybe he's saying, I am holding on to you. And, it's the person writing the song saying, I'm holding on to you, God. But I think it's the other way around, right? It's God saying, I am. And I'm a little slow to grab onto these things sometimes. I had to make sure that it changed his voice. And then he's the one holding on to us. But since God's name is I am, I guess that's how it works. Forgot the capo.
Light of the world, who stepped down into darkness, open my eyes and listen. You do that made this heart adore you. Hope of a life spent with you. So here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to serve.
seat. Oh, I think that was exciting. So I don't usually have to sing on this, but I'm, so we're missing our leaders and at both services. So Kevin was away this morning from the first service, so I was the one who had to say it's time to sing, and right now Andy's away from this service today, so I'm standing in the middle. We're always wanting comment on how worship is doing, and you get a lot of opportunity to comment in just a minute. But let's welcome everybody. Turn around, greet somebody, say hi. Don't take long. I'm going to cut you off in about 10 seconds. All right. And I want to welcome you and tell you how glad I am that you are all here. We got a bunch of stuff going on. We got next week is what we call, I think for years it was called Home Run Sunday. And this year we're calling it Tell the Story. And we're going to be celebrating some of the things we've accomplished during the year. There have been some great things we've accomplished and enjoyed during the year, and I get excited about them. I get excited about where we're going. We've also got a bunch of extra little things going on. We need your Halloween candy, and we need some volunteers to come out Halloween and help hand it out and welcome people here and make hot chocolate and hand that out. And that'll be great. Tonight, potluck. It is indeed the third Sunday of the month. So 6 o'clock downstairs. The youth will be there because we're getting ready for youth group at that time, and they want to eat together. But come join us and bring something to eat. And next Sunday, with Tell the Story, we're having a pig roast because we do food, because we're about food, and food is important. So we're doing it. And so here's the rules. It's right on this little piece of paper. It says if your last name begins with A through M, bring a side dish. If you have a hyphenated last name, then you have to bring both. And if your last name begins with N to Z, please bring a dessert. And I'm always hoping there are lots of people in the second half of the alphabet. And we'll change it around for next time. And this is in there too. On November 4th is the first Sunday after Halloween, after All Saints' Day, which is the 1st of November. And we make a deal out of remembering people who've died. So if you've got someone you'd like us to put in our list, put it on this. And when the offering comes around toward the end of the service, put that in. That'd be great. So much. But right now, I want to direct your attention to Judy. It's time. We got a piece of paper. It's kind of card. It's kind of cool that Judy's going to hand out to everybody, and it's going to take a minute to get to you. I can see this right now, and so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about worship, and let me give you a little introduction to this conversation. You guys, sit down. It's going to take a while. It's okay. It's going to take some time. We'll have to come back. It's like having two sermons in a Sunday, except you're giving one of them. Yeah, so we've been having a lot of conversations. It's like in the life of a church, things come in waves, and sometimes there's a whole wave, and an idea sort of takes off, and people grab hold of it. And one of the ideas that's been, we've had a lot of ideas come our way about worship. Just lately, and they've been brought, and so it seems only fair that we need to take some time and talk over things. I want to tell you up front that we're going to probably make some decisions in the next couple of months, not faster than that, but in the next couple of months, make a couple of decisions. And if we make any big changes, we're not going to make them we're constantly changing little things in worship, but you'd notice that more at 9 o'clock than here. But then we're gonna probably, if we make a big change, we'll make it with the beginning of the new year. Okay? So that's our plan. So has everyone got one of these right now? Start right at the top. Would you please circle 11 o'clock? I'm not interested in where you usually go. I'm interested in where you are right now. I don't know why. This seemed like a rule. Oh, yeah, you want Braden? Braden's hiding down here under the pew, so it might take him a moment to get out. Where is he? I could see him a minute ago. Braden, it's time to go back with Miss Wendy. Okay, well, he'll get there eventually. See you, buddy. Okay. All right. It's very comfortable down there on the floor. I haven't laid under a pew for a long time, and I should try that again. And then your age group, if you'd be so kind. Just circle one. Circle the 11 and then circle one of those ages. Hopefully what you're in. So, and I want to get from you this. If worship could happen at any weekly time for you, when would that be? So, somebody shout it out. When would you worship if you could worship at any time during the week? Sundays are available. 10, I hear 2 10s. Any 11s? Any 11s? 11? Anyone prefer 7 in the morning? No, not me. 7 at night. So, any others? Any Tuesdays? Wednesdays? What's best for a Sunday night? What? Well, whatever works best for you. Yeah, one time, one day. Okay? No one's shouting anything else out? Okay, so write down the time, and that'll help us figure that out. Heard a few 10s from you. I didn't hear many 11s, which is interesting. A couple of 11s out here. Maybe 10 o'clock people just talk louder than 11 o'clock. I don't know what that is. Why do you choose to come to this worship instead of the other? And I got a few suggestions there, and you might want to just underline one if it's true for you, or put a check by it if you like. But those are just sort of beginner suggestions. You might come to this service just because this is when we have children's programming. And you would change which worship service if you had it at a different time. Or you strongly prefer this style of worship, whatever name you want to put on it, this style. For the purposes of this form, we're calling it modern. I'm tired of the word contemporary. And maybe because this time works better for you, because 9 o'clock in the morning, you just cannot make it. And that's true for a lot of folks, so that might be an issue. Okay. Yes, you're one of those few people who comes to both services. Not intimidating for me at all to have my wife, the experienced preacher here, evaluating me every week at every service. I don't have any issues with that. Any other reasons why you come to this service? Just, what do you got? 9 o'clock's too early. Any other reasons? Less formal? Laid back? We're pretty laid back. I took my jacket and my tie off before this service. Doesn't matter. I could take my shoes off.
That's okay.
All right. Anything else? Yeah. Yeah. Well, see, I was wearing a tie and a jacket at the first service and trying to impress them. You know. Okay. Okay, casual. That's kind of getting there. Good. Good. I'm moving on to number 3. If we had, and there's a lot of words for this, and I tried to come up with words that don't fit into your existing categories that you might have. If you had an opportunity on a Sunday morning to go to a learning time, in other words, not a singing and worship time, but just learning, that was led by me, would you go to that? Would you go to that kind of thing as well as a worship service? Would you go to it instead of a worship service? What would you do if there was an opportunity like that for you? If, for instance, we had a 10 o'clock worship that was a style you could deal with, and then we did another thing at 11:15. Okay. Would anybody go? Anybody here? A few of you? Yeah? Number of you? Okay. Nobody wants to get up early, so we're not going to have like the 9 a.m., the 8 a.m. thing. Yeah. Okay. I had my first little country church that I served, I had almost as many people in Sunday school before worship, in adult Sunday school before worship, as I had in worship. Farmers and retired teachers. Actually, that was the whole church. Okay. Yeah, and that could also be on a Wednesday, right? Well, write it down. We're working on redesigning the old sanctuary, otherwise known as home base, otherwise known as that place over there. Pulled out the carpet. It's going to get refinished. It's going to get new paint. It's going to have a new look. It's going to be kind of multi-purpose. It's going to have tables, chairs, and comfy seating. I'm looking at the size of this group and tell you one of the reasons why we're having this conversation is because this is kind of a small group. And this room is kind of big. And it feels awkward, I think, at times to have this number of people in this room, and I think we would feel more energetic if we were in a smaller room. That's just me telling you that I kind of feel that way. But if we had the opportunity to worship in that space instead of this space, and it were kind of hip and looked like coffee shop kind of thing instead of looking like this, would that be something that you would appreciate? Would you take part? Would would that be okay with you if we moved out of here into there?
There's still stained glass windows.
There are stained glass windows.
Would it be still set up so that, because it would have the fronts with this altar and so forth, instead of a ground table roof?
Well, I think probably, that's a good question. Probably it would look, there would definitely be a front, if that makes sense. There's a cross hanging on the wall up there, which kind of marks where the front is, and that's good. I don't know whether we would have anything raised. I might just be on the floor like I am now. And I don't know about a communion table. That might just be there when we're having communion. Depends. Yeah, we wouldn't just be sitting around tables. Yeah, I think not. We'd still sing some songs and project words and things like that. Okay? So, yeah. Anything else? Any thoughts about that space? If you're curious, go have a look at it. It's not there yet. But it's got tables and chairs and some comfy seating and the wooden floor that is just waiting to get refinished. And some patches on the ceiling, and it's gonna be repainted a different color. We're still negotiating about how much can get repainted, but we'll see how that goes. Okay. Here are some possibilities. Flip the page over. And there's a little chart that I want to introduce you to of those 6 choices. I hope the print isn't too small. And just so you know, I'm using some vocabulary. What we do now in the 9 o'clock service, I'm calling traditional, which means all the songs are out of a hymnal, and they're played by mostly the piano and sometimes the organ, and sometimes I throw in something else. You know, I'm weird, mandolin or something. And we have a couple of written down prayers, and that's what we hear called traditional. And we're calling this service modern. And something that brings the two together, that would be a mix of hymns and the kind of songs we do in this service, and a mix of instrumentations maybe. We would call that a blended service. It's mostly talking about what kind of music we're doing, and also a little bit about the format. Okay? So those are the 3 kinds of worship we're talking about. And what I'm going to want you to do eventually is look at this chart, and if there is one of these options that would make you just stop coming, period, put a big X through that one. We need to know. This is going to drive someone away if they do this. And if there's a one that's your favorite, put a big circle around that one. And if on the other hand there's one that would make you I'm not going to run away, but I might not make it as often in that plan, then put a little X in it, okay? Does that make sense? All right, so let me just read through them real quick so you know. The first one is just the way it is now. That's top left. So you kind of know what that looks like. And the one next to it, on the right, at the top, is the same schedule, except that children's programming wouldn't be during this hour. It'd be during the 9 a.m. hour instead. Okay? Please.
I have not been to the 9 a.m. Are there a lot of children at the 9 a.m.?
No. No. Well, we're in the weird position now that we have a pretty good population of middle schoolers and high schoolers who come on Sunday night, and we have a couple of high schoolers here, and we often have some 7th, 8th graders, 6th graders in here, but they don't go back for the children's programming. They've aged out of that mostly. Colleen? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because they were involved in a blessed family, and a lot of these families who were in the 11 o'clock service. So then they would shut down having the 9 o'clock service, and we had to move it to the 11 o'clock service.
Yeah, so that was following.
So the dream was that for a long time we did both 9 and 11, and then we didn't have enough volunteers. So that was not enough volunteers, not enough kids.
Yeah, thanks for the history. Good to know that it went, families moved first, and then we followed to make that happen. Yeah, good. Thank you. It's not really a piece of the story that I had up here. That's good. Okay, third one, so middle on the left, is a lot like this, what we have now, except that the 9 a.m. service would become a 9:30 service because we could move this service over there. One of the reasons they have to be an hour apart is because we have to warm up in here. We have to set up and warm up in here, and that takes time. We can't do it during the service, but we could do it if we were over there. So it'd be 9:30 over here and 11 over there. Okay? And again, junior church. These are just some almost random choices, just to show the big parts moving. So you see, it's kind of a complicated formula we got to put together, and it's not a simple answer. So if you've got another idea, another balance that you think would work better than all of these, then there's a box for that under your ideas. So you could make out your own schedule, and that'd be great. And then the fourth one. Choir rehearsal, blended worship, and then instead of this service, so we would move both the services into one service. Put it at, in this example, it's at 9:30, and then follow that with a learning time. And that would mean you folks would have to get used to singing some hymns, and those folks would have to get used to singing some different songs and different instrumentations. I tell you, there's a lot of fear over there because they think we're really loud. I got to tell you, though, we're not. At this point in our lives, we're not, because last week I had the lid down on the piano, and it was drowning everything out. And we have it up all the way and hitting hard on 9 a.m., so that was interesting. It's like, no, we're actually a quieter service. Surprising. So there's that option, and then the last one is just like that, except instead of a sort of a learning time at 11, it would be a short communion service, a weekly communion service, and we wouldn't take communion out of here. We would think about having, we still have it, in our regular worship service once a month, but then have an additional service every week that offered communion. It might be like a 35, 40-minute service. I think there's probably a small slice of the population that would just love that. I don't think it's a real big slice, but I'd like to know if it's you. Okay? So circle your favorite, X out the one that would make it impossible for you to come, or make you not come, and then put a little X if there's one that would just make you attend less readily than you do now. Okay?
Can you make sure we share this with the families that aren't here today? I think this is unusual.
Yeah, we're missing a few families that might need to be here. So yeah, we'll share this with some others, Plastics and Friesners. Yeah. What's your perception, Colleen? Do you think the reason is the time slot, or the reason is that they were, as you said, they were involved? Yeah. Vanderveldes.
So that kind of naturally happened, and then I was talking to another family, and she said, well, their early daughter could only see her friends at 11 o'clock service, not at 9 o'clock.
So that's Friesners.
In my family stayed at 9 o'clock because I preferred that kind of service, and my mom attended 9 o'clock. So, everyone kind of has their reasons,
Absolutely.
for wanting to stay and move in. I mean, some of our kids, I know that my boys would prefer later service. They're not here. They're asleep over. She knew that the 9 o'clock is not.
Which means they're probably still sleeping.
But they don't but they also don't like singing, so they don't love 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
So that's a really difficult thing for them. Right now it's 9 o'clock.
There are-
So
yeah.
I think for the youth that if we could have one service where they can all see their people. Getting youth here is about seeing their people and seeing their tribe.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
I think you're right. And if we said, and the only tribe here is one time, then that'd be cool. Let me tell you another thing that a few of us were talking about hard yesterday. This service started a number of years back. 4, 5 years? 4? 5? Okay. And it has always been a lot smaller than the other service. We almost caught up here, like about a year ago. No, not quite a year ago. 6, 8 months ago, we almost caught up with the other service. Zelensky's left, and then Vandervelde's kind of stepped down. They were here this morning at the 9 o'clock service. And so a couple things hit us pretty hard, and we kind of took a dive at the beginning of summer, and we haven't quite recovered from that. And I think, to tell you the truth, we were never really thriving the way we needed to thrive in this service. You know what I mean? We never really were becoming all that we ought to become. And I spent some time back in the spring when I knew that Matt was stepping down, I spent some time looking for musicians to help us out from outside, people who have experience being church music leaders. It's a very specific kind of gig. Everyone who's good at it already has a gig. That usually occupies them on Sunday morning. Go figure. So we didn't succeed. I chased a couple rabbit holes for a long time and didn't get anyone. And so we've been kind of muddling along, and Andy's been awesome leading, and I think he has really grown into it and stepped into it great. And I've been trying to get by on the piano, and still, we're not all that we could be. And so one of the thoughts before us is maybe we should take a break. Just one of the options is take a break, let it sit for a bit, breathe, and then come back and start in April or something with a new launch crew, a group of people to plan in detail, to recruit the people, to put what money into it we need, come up with some firm vision, some firm planning and preparation, and then launch in October. That's a timing recommended by people who are apparently expert on choosing when to launch worship services. Apparently this is the time right here. Actually a couple weeks ago. So that's an option in there, and if you think that that's a great option, then we probably don't want to take away the spot that belongs to this service. So we don't want to think about that. Or maybe you are one of the many people who thinks one service is a better choice than two. I think what we're finding in churches mostly nowadays is that growth is happening more through multiplying services than through growing an individual service. Does that make sense? It tends to be that when you start an extra service, that's how you grow. You don't tend to grow without starting more services. That's weird, isn't it? Different options, and you kind of get that sense of fresh beginning and whatever. And so that might be something that's in our future that maybe you want to comment on as well. Okay. What are your thoughts on that right now? Yeah. Okay, Nick doesn't like that idea. Well, I don't know if it'd be 9 or something else, or if we, yeah, okay. Yes, people all just, yeah, that's right. I don't want to change a lot of schedules if we don't need to. I like to make one change and kind of stick. That's kind of where I'd like to be.
I think it got to be 11 just because it was so hard on everybody on most services when we put it in, and now it's here. I'm afraid we have to go through those hurt feelings and upset. And plus once people get their schedule, sometimes the other schedule won't work for them.
Well, that's why it's really helpful for you to say this time is the best time for me. That helps everybody.
Because, but I just hate to do too much vacillating.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
I like to have people know in their life they have either the 9 o'clock or the 11 o'clock that they
Yeah.
can choose from. And shouldn't mess with either of them. I know they like it later, and I understand that.
Yeah. Well, we can get it a half hour later if we move this service over to there.
And, maybe we could even do it a half hour later, theirs, because I know that's hard on them. And, maybe if we're starting to fill up the congregation, they will go. I don't mean go, but, do you know what I mean? I think they're intuitive. If a service was
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, would they? You mean kick them out of that space? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mean kick them out, I mean, once they see something
No,
going,
you-
they would.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
not talking about them stopping their communing time.
Sure.
I'm talking about
Yeah. So there it is. There's the muddy and muddy before you, the messy and muddy. It's hard to put those words together. Messy and muddy in front of you. I wanted to share with you what's going on, and I wanted to hear from you what you like. So please, when the offering comes around, put those in the plate, would you? And that'll help. That'll help us with the planning process. No answers today. No answers next week. So it's going to take a while because we want to go through a pretty good decision process and thorough and engage people as much as we can. We're going to sing another song. Is that okay? Maybe we'll sing two. I think we'll sing two. This piano has an interesting habit. It shuts itself off if you leave it alone. Oh, and it did. No. There. That would do it. All right. Let me get myself organized again.
Just to know you and to make it lonely.
me close to you. Never let me go. Lay hold down again. Hear you say that I'm your friend. You are my desire. No one else will do. 'Cause no one else could take your place. Feel the warmth of your embrace. Help me find the way. Lead me back to you. You're all I want. You're all I've ever needed. You're all I want. Help me know you are Draw me close to you.
I always thought there was another verse. Where'd it go? Okay. All right, that's our two songs for now. Let me. Now I get to talk without asking questions. That's my belly's too big for that space. And I'm talking about worship because we're talking about our 5 values of the church. And the 5 values, in case you wanted a refresher, are worship is number 1 on the list. Kids. We really value our kids, all our young people, and providing them a path in faith. And we value disciples, growing people in faith throughout life. We value people who have doubts, people who are unsure. That's really a specific call of ours, to reach to people who have questions and doubts and don't believe. We value them and want to reach and connect well. And 5th, we value service. Today, worship. So the series is called "This Is Us," and so kind of like the family on "This Is Us." We have a lot of issues. We got a lot of people, a lot of stories, a lot of past, a lot of future, and we're all muddling through. Yes, it's kind of like a soap opera, complete with flashbacks, but that's all right. So I want to tell you the number one thing I want to say about worship before I miss it, before I get off track. I want to say the number one thing I want to say about worship is it's a great chance to show up and spend quality time with God. That's really quality time with God. And then add one more on there at the end. Together. If you have been in a marriage or a significant relationship, I hope that you spent time together, that you have a date night. Go out for lunch, go out for dinner, go out for breakfast, go out to a movie. Movie's never so good. Why? You don't get to talk, except, they stay up till late. And go to a matinee. Yeah. We have found, we go out to eat together at least once a week. Does it show? And And we enjoy that, and that's great. But we also spend a lot of time together by driving, and we talk a lot when we're driving. And I want to say, by all means, hang out with God that way. But God invites us. God invites us in and says, come to my place. Let's spend some time together. Let's spend some quality time together and get focused. You know, driving is okay, but then you're going to be interrupted by traffic events happening around you. You know? Time at home is great, but somehow I need the strength of other people worshiping to sort of keep me focused and remind me to put myself in God's presence, to enjoy that, to find that. I want to read to you. Oops. Yeah, there we are. Did I miss? No, I didn't miss one. Back and forth we go. I got cool transitions. They just confuse me now and then. Really short. This is actually last hours. What are the chances we could get at 11 o'clock? Is it 11 o'clock, really? And I just messed up? Okay. It's a different passage, that's all. I could talk to you about Romans 12, and that'd be fine. It's got an interesting, funny line in there about bringing yourselves as a holy and living sacrifice to God, and then that brings all kinds of weird issues. Really? There he is. You're the man, Nick. Right on it. And we got a different one. We got Old Testament today. Last week it was the other way around. 9 o'clock, they got Old Testament. You got New Testament. We're flipping it this week. Isaiah 29. I'm just giving you 2 verses, but they're kind of long verses with a lot in them. And the Lord's kind of ripping on the people. And I don't want to rip on you. I think I've been pressing hard lately. We talked in leadership about trying to raise the bar of membership. But as I do that, I don't want to make you feel guilty or inadequate. What I really hope is that you'll want more and more to spend time with God, alone, together, all kinds of ways, and find that this is where life is. So, okay, Isaiah's kind of ripping on the people at the moment. He's talking about Israel. 6th century BC. So there we go. Lord says, since these people turn toward me with their mouths and honor me with lip service, while their heart is distant from me, and their fear of me is just a human command that has been memorized. All right, let's stop in mid-sentence there, because actually that's verse 13. And he goes on to all the bad things that God's going to do to us. And I kind of wanted to skip over that, not because I don't believe God might, inflict a punishment if God were inclined, but I don't think that's the point. The point is to look at how we've been sometimes in our lives and some days, on some Sundays, how we show up to church. Have you ever showed up for worship and you're only sort of half there? And what there's a bunch of things distracting you, keeping you from being there. What's keeping you from being there? What are you from being fully there? You're there. Your body's there. You dragged yourself in. You put your butt in the seat. Yeah, you're not feeling. Holy Spirit hasn't. You don't feel it. Well, I don't know. We don't all do it, right? We're not owning it. We're not engaging. We're not inviting ourselves fully in. We're drawing all kinds of lines. We're saying, I'm thinking about this friend over here near me. I'm thinking about the pain in myself. I'm thinking about some things that have been going on in my life, and we're letting all those things get in the way. So let me ask you, anybody here ever been on a date? It might be a while. Maybe a date with someone you're with right now, and that's great. But if it's really a date, You're 16, 18, and you're going on a date. What do you do before you go out? Wash your hair. Uh-huh. What else? Is there makeup involved? Uh-huh. Is there a long selection process with clothing? And worrying about your hair, is it right? And then you're thinking like 3 days in advance. If I squeeze this, is it now? Will it be cleaned up by the time the date comes around? You're really preparing yourself, right? And you're practicing your presence, and you're batting your eyelashes at yourself, or maybe you're renting a tux if you're a guy going to prom, and you're thinking about all these things. You're preparing yourself. So, how do you prepare yourself to go be with God for an hour and a half on a Sunday? Well, maybe you were raised that you had to dress up for church. Anybody? There was a tie involved for me. And there was at the first service. But what else is there? I mean, we don't do dressing up for church so much. But we do other things, or we should do other things. We really need to ask ourselves, am I showing up ready? Am I showing up really ready? I'm not going to stay away just because I'm not ready. I mean, I've had people say to myself, I can't go to church, I don't have nice enough clothes. And that's like, wow, I'm really sorry you got that impression about church. First of all, because who cares about what you wear? And, okay, and if someone does, they're not representing the church. That's my official word to you. And what kind of preparation do I need to be doing? I'm not dolling myself up. I'm not renting a tux. But I want to make sure that when I show up at worship, I am ready to do more than offer lip service. If I sing the songs, now sometimes, a song comes up and we're going to sing it, and you just don't like that song. Anybody ever? Okay, me. Like, it happens. And a prayer comes on, or a sermon comes along, and you're like, oh, seriously? I'm not connecting with this at all. It's not working for me. I understand. It's not always going to work. But you say the words in the songs, and sometimes I have to say those words in the songs as a sort of a discipline to make myself, prepare myself, open myself. I have to engage in prayer. I have to do something to make myself ready to worship. So that Isaiah doesn't get to say this about, God's voice, the Lord says. So it doesn't get to be about me. Now and then there's going to be a hymn, there's going to be a song, there's going to be a prayer, there's going to be a message, there's going to be a scripture, and you're going, I don't get that. I'm lost. It's not connecting to me. It's going to happen. But if I show up ready, I've been told by folks in churches over the years, some of them, I find that if I show up to church ready and assuming that I'm going to hear something I need and that I am going to be blessed and take something away with me at the end of this, then always it turns out to be true. I think, awesome. If I'm preparing myself for the Holy Spirit to get into me and change me, that's awesome. So that this never happens. So we honor God with lip service while our heart is distant from God. I think as time goes by, in 2018, soon to be 2019, we're not patient with that anymore. Pretty much, if I'm not feeling it, I'm just going to leave. I'm not going to bother. People are finding I haven't met God yet, so I'm not going to try anymore. I haven't had an experience of God. I'm not going to keep looking. I'm not impressed by the command to honor the Lord your God and Him only. I'm not interested. And they just stay away because we're not hitting them. And I just want to be a little blame shifting and say, part of that's because you didn't show up ready. You didn't invite yourself into worship to come in. You didn't prepare. Take a moment, pray, sit, be silent, enjoy. Sit in your car before you get out of the car and park. You know when you walk in, you're going to start talking to people. It's going to happen, and that's okay. But, prepare yourself on the way here. Say a prayer. Lord, I want to worship today. I want to really be in your presence today so that you can speak to me today. Rest of the sentence. This is great. This is the end of the passage. You have everything backward. I love that. You keep showing up at church thinking it's going to be all shiny and new and good for me. You have everything backward. Should the potter be thought of as clay? Should what is made say of its maker, he didn't make me? That's kind of what we do when we decide we don't need to worship. Oh, it doesn't matter. God isn't really there. God doesn't really care. Doesn't make any difference. Should what is shaped say of the one who shaped it, he doesn't understand. Man, that happens. God doesn't understand me. And even if you don't say that out loud, I think there's a part of us that when we refuse to pray, when we don't bring something in prayer to God, we are saying pretty clearly, God doesn't get it. But what if I were actually to bring it? And to plan on sitting face to face, making eye contact with God. Sitting there in the presence of one who is waiting to completely engage with us. What if that were how I showed up instead? Instead of saying, he doesn't get it anyway. I'm just showing up because my spouse wants to go. I'm showing up because my friends are there only. I'm glad you show up if your friends are here. That's great. But I think we need to turn it up. I need to turn up my expectation, my inner expectation. It's hard sometimes, I got to tell you, as a person who is up front a lot during worship, especially when I'm doing music and talking. Geez, what's that about? Then there really is kind of a challenge worshiping sometimes, right? It's a challenge bringing myself fully into God's presence at this time because I'm kind of almost performing. I need to not do that. How do I do that? I don't know. We'll work on it. Will you work on it with me? And not be like that clay saying, hey, you're squishing me. God, get out of me. Quit messing with me like this. And God says, wait a minute. I have to remake you. It's going to take some effort. It's going to take a little squishing in your life. I'm going to have to reconfigure you and start again with you. And where we're going to do that is worship. I really believe worship is God's favorite place to change our lives, to change our souls, to affect us. And I want you to show up. If you can get here, this is what I hope for you. I really hope it for you more than for me, that you will find a way so that you show up on Sunday morning for worship, fully expecting that no matter what Jeremy says, I'm going to hear something I need, and I'm going to bring myself into God's presence when I sing, when I pray, even if I just stand during a song because I can't get words out. I find myself, I'm a softie, I get teary-eyed and so forth with songs. Even if I don't like the song, sometimes it'll do that to me. I invite you to bring yourself, to allow yourself to be reshaped by God. Reshaped, reworked. All right, it's your time. This is a really general question, isn't it? Is God leading you? Talk to someone near you. Talk to a few people near you. Is God leading you somewhere? Anywhere? Are you aware? Or are you kind of waiting to see if God's leading you? It was kind of a yes or no question, so I'm sorry. I usually try to have more of a discussion question. I think God's leading me, but we're checking to see if it turns into reality. All right, why? Here's another question. When you're done with that one, think about this one. Why worship? Why? Boop, 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 boop. So many things. Go. I got another question for you. What'd you come up with on the why worship? What'd you come up with? Refresh. Anyone else? Why worship? Be with the Lord. Be with the Lord. Grow. Anyone else? Redirect. Yeah. Experience the Spirit. Anyone else? Not in the first two rows? You're all talking back there, so you must be talking about something. What you got, Judy? Why worship? Strengthen our spirit. Yeah, okay. Cool. What? Lois? Truth is a little hard to find, isn't it? Yeah. All right. Good. Just keep it connected. I was thinking back over my life and thinking of some of the times when I have been pushed to the next level in my faith walk. And often that has happened either mainly in worship or found some kind of a confirmation in worship, you know? That worship has been the moment when God has grabbed a hold of me and said, making a change, Jeremy. Have you ever been changed by worship?
Yeah, very much so. But it's usually worship that has components in it that can bring about that change.
Yeah, brings change. Tell a story. Tell a story to someone near you. This isn't everybody. You got one? Oh, Emmaus. It's kind of like camp. Yeah. Combined with sleep deprivation, it's extra powerful. All right, here's a weird question. I was trying to think of a different metaphor for how we interact with God by saying, I really don't need to worship. I really don't need to show up. And I really don't care what you have to say. Thank you very much. Or I'm showing up, and I'm just showing up. And that's all. I'm just going to be here, and I'm not going to be changed. I'm not going to be altered by being here. That is what I would call sticking your tongue out at God. You can try, but I'm not going to be changed. Is there any way you do this? Do you deny God messing with you at times? Get in the way? Anybody got a story? Not that you're going to tell. What? Yeah. Very afraid of that because you just don't know what might happen. Isn't that an awesome picture? Apparently there is a National Stick Your Tongue Out Day. Who knew? Apparently they knew. They knew. Isn't that just an appalling picture? Moving on from there. Don't do it. It's a bad idea. Great worship is a few things, and I want you to know what we're constantly trying to work on here. Great worship is a bunch of things. And first of all, it's quality time with God and with other people. It's not just me and God alone, like, oh, that's all we need, just me and God. No, it's getting a bunch of us, and we can have a better time doing this together, but it's quality. Life-changing. And we talked about that, and I think a lot of you were able to witness and say, yeah, worship was life-changing for me. And Spirit-led. We're not sure it's worship if the Spirit isn't moving around, messing with us. Otherwise, I don't know what we're doing here. We're just providing opportunities for the Spirit to come in and make a mess. And do change. But on the other hand, some people think that Spirit-led means no planning, and I'm not that guy. We're going to plan, just so you know. That's our version of great worship around here. It's going to have to be well planned, whatever style we're talking about. But one of the things we definitely figured out today is that it's not the same for everybody, right? Well, we all got different times. We all got different styles. We all got different things we're looking for to have happen, which apparently is why some people go to Catholic churches and Episcopal churches and Lutheran churches and Methodist churches and Pentecostal churches and Baptist churches and Presbyterians and all kinds. So it's not the same for everyone, even within our umbrella. Okay. There is a response card. You got one? Wave it in the air like you just don't care. Here, I'll give you one. It's the only one I got, so that's it. All right, so it's kind of an easy response today, but it's hopefully focused around what we're talking about. I will work on being a full spiritual participant in worship. Oh, I should have said on the other side, put your name. And I'm looking around thinking we know how to reach most of you, but please put a way we can contact you. An email or phone or whatever. And then the second one you could check the box, I will worship God every day on my own. Which does not let you off Sunday morning coming to church. I'm just telling you in case you're wondering. And third, I will encourage a friend to share in worship at community. Just saying it right there. I try to give you an opportunity every week to be reminded that this isn't just for us. All right. So you fill that out, and I know that Judy's going to be bringing that plate in a moment, and I'm going to just play some music. Taking requests. What do you want? All right, we're gonna sing one more song. All right. This is a great song because it's kind of about worship, but it's a different take on it. It's about being God's, finding the joy of being with a God who cares about us. Lord, send us out, but bring us back. We know you'll go with us. But we long for the time when we get to be in your presence again, together, gathered, sharing, singing, hearing. Hold us together until then. Give us that strength along the way. and that joy to serve you. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.